Black Veatch is a global infrastructure and technology services company with a pretty broad experience in both historical and emerging drinking water challenges. For this project in particular, we have worked for Cape Fear for decades with some of its most challenging projects, whether that be for complex designs and construction or aggressive schedules or high public interest. And this project had all three. Again, for this project, our last signature project with Cape Fear was the expansion of the Sweeney Water Treatment Plant to 44 MGD. So we had a pretty innate understanding of all the processes that were in place at the time of this project. So when you combine all three of those elements, I think it made us something of a logical choice for this project. In the United States, the drinking water industry is heavily regulated. And for the most part, those regulations serve the public interest quite well. So you don't really get a lot of utilities that are going above and beyond the regulatory requirements to any significant degree because it's a cost-benefit analysis. Every dollar they spend has to be justified by the ratepayers. You get into a little bit of a separation of powers, if you will. The ratepayers say how much, and the regulatory body says, what does that need to consist of? And then the utility decides how they're going to do it and what it's going to cost. And you can kind of go in a cycle there. So what we were faced with is how do we address the challenge of the day for the least cost to the ratepayers, and how do you do it in a way that provides some flexibility for the future, given that we didn't have any regulatory framework to guide a solution in this case. So what we ultimately settled on is sort of the basic infrastructure that was necessary to protect the public health, and in a way that the process is flexible enough so that they can ramp up or down based on changing regulations or changing river conditions. And essentially what that, in basic terms, it allows them to change out the media more or less frequency based on, again, changing regulations or source water contaminant levels. So granular activated carbon was the choice in this case. There's several technologies that you could use, but again, we were trying to find the most cost-effective solution and the public health most effective solution. So we did some demonstration testing for granular activated carbon, ion exchange, different types of carbon, different types of ion exchange. We sort of wrote off most of the other technologies for the expense of those technologies, but we isolated based on a target constituent that we had when we started. This is the best GAC for this constituent, and it gives us the flexibility again of ramping up and ramping down the media changeouts to respond to the conditions that we had to respond to. In business conversations, or coaching, you often hear people say you've got to earn trust with your client, or you've got to earn trust with your customer. In my experience, the most successful endeavors are based on a mutual trust relationship. They trust me and I trust them. And that allows you to go forward with pretty great confidence that you're making the right decisions together and you're going to own the end result together. In this case, we were basically, again, addressing a public health concern, trying to do it as quickly as possible. And we ultimately decided as a team, Cape Fear and Black Veatch, that we're going to have this project designed and ready for bid in 12 months. And it's a pretty fast schedule for a project like this. So what we did is we decided that every month we're going to have a progress meeting, and each meeting is going to peel back another layer in the design. And we could really focus on the higher level, the functionality of the process, the operation of the process, and it streamlines decisions. Meetings are shorter, and you really only have to get into the nuanced or unique elements at the organizational level. And so, again, we're peeling back those layers at each meeting. We've got the design on the screen, and we're just walking them through the process. And it really just compacted the schedule to the 12 months. And it was a very effective approach and a project that we feel like we all can be proud of. I guess the real lesson at this point was loading of the media, the logistics of loading the media. It's a lot of media. The contractor beds are 12 feet deep, and there's 8 of them, and it's a lot of media. So there were some lessons learned around how to load the media efficiently and effectively and do it without making a mess, honestly. But yeah, that was the biggest lesson that we learned.